Hello, and welcome to Eden Technologies video series focusing on building and managing a sustainable enterprise data security program. Today's topic is an introduction to enterprise data security and data loss prevention. In this brief demo, we will give you an overview of enterprise data security and specifically DLP, what it is and what it is not, and break down the different components of a data security program. We will focus on the importance of considering the people, process, and technology, and on the fundamental elements of Symantec's DLP product. Before we do that, however, let me briefly introduce myself, my colleague, and Eden Technologies. My name is Teri Coyne, and I'm the Learning and Communications Practice Lead at Eden Technologies, and I've been working on data security projects and IT transformation projects for many, many years. My focus in these initiatives is to make sure everyone involved in the project, from the stakeholders all the way to the end users, understand the impact and importance of these initiatives and what their roles and responsibilities are associated to them. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Andy Sherman. And Andy, can you just say a few words about yourself and your experience?
Sure, Terry. Thank you very much. I'm Andy Sherman. I'm Security Practice Lead in Technologies. I've been doing technology and in particular IT and information security for a long time. I've done security engineering and architecture and have a strong specialization in data security and have been really involved in data loss prevention since the infancy of the industry.
Wonderful. Thanks, Andy. And for those of you that are not familiar with Eden Technologies, Eden has been in business for over 11 years. We specialize in the planning, execution, and ongoing maintenance of enterprise data technology transformation projects. We take a holistic approach to every project, incorporating the technology, work processes, business drivers, learning and communication, and marketing. This is especially true in our security practice. We are a Symantec Platinum partner and pride ourselves on not just getting a job done, but getting it done. This is the first video in a series of DLP videos that Eden has up on our YouTube channel. This serves as an overview of enterprise data security and DLP. The second video goes into a deeper explanation of the people and processes involved in these initiatives. And then the last three are specific demos of the technology, Symantec's DLP technology, including endpoint, network, and storage. So let's get right into it. Enterprise data security. What is DLP and what it is not? Andy?
The data loss prevention is a system for allowing you to know or prevent when confidential data is leaving your enterprise over the network or at the endpoint. It also allows you to assess the risk associated with data at rest sitting in your file stores. DLP is not some magic artificial intelligence that can detect and understand what data is confidential with no human training or input.
The three basic functions of DLP seek to answer some of the fundamental questions an organization is asking about their data. Where is my confidential data? How is it being used? And how do I prevent its loss? These translate technically into discovering, monitoring, and protecting data.
The elements of a data security program are shown here. We like to show this as a wheel to help us emphasize the fact that it's a cyclic and repeating process. The elements include things like data governance, risk assessment, compliance, regulatory, and privacy considerations, policy standards and procedures, and actions that you take like classifying data, undertaking a discovery of where your data is, the remediation of issues that you find, and the all-important, we can't emphasize this enough, learning and communication. Security is something that involves the people in your enterprise, and they need to know what's expected of them. If you're deploying a DLP system, they need to know how their lives are going to change, and effective learning and communications is key to doing that.
So we talk a lot about people, process, and technology whenever talking about IT transformation projects, but it's especially true to focus on this in the DLP initiative. So let's look at that equation.
So we start with the people, because you need effective involvement from all of the people involved to make any data security program, and in particular DLP, a success. It starts with identifying your stakeholders and sponsors, since they help you determine what the requirement is and they give you the push to make this program actually get implemented. Your employees, every one of them, are your first line of defense against data breaches, both in their understanding what policy is and acting in accordance with it. Data owners, and by that we mean business owners of data, are the ones who really understand what it's used for, how sensitive it is, and how it needs to be protected and who should have access. Then you need technical resources, because when we get to the technology end of this equation, you need people who know how to implement it. And finally, you need local expertise, both in technology and on the business side, to make sure that the project is actually aimed at the right targets. Now, we like to say that data security is probably about 80% process, which is interesting for me to say that as a technologist, but it's true. And the business processes that run your business those processes are where a lot of security issues arise. They don't arise most of the time because people are trying to do something wrong, but it's because we have business processes that are old and were developed before we understood what privacy concerns and security concerns ought to be. So we need to understand those processes so that we can fix them while not breaking the business function that they were intended to promote. We need processes to remediate incidents. As we roll out a security program, it's going to generate incidents of things happening, and we need a process to remediate them and fix the broken processes we find. When employees violate security policies, either intentionally or by accident, we need to notify them, and we need a workflow process that triggers a preventative action so the data breaches don't happen. And finally, the technology to make this happen. We divide it into three segments. There's network DLP, which acts on data at rest; endpoint DLP, which is concerned with data in use at the user's endpoint; and storage DLP, which focuses on data at rest in all the places where it's stored in the endpoint. And together, those three things, people, process, and technology, form your complete DLP program.
So let's take a look at the different aspects of the technology and what it's seeking to do.
So detection is a set of policies that identify the presence of confidential data. Policies are a set of rules that invoke some sort of pattern recognition to detect that when confidential data is around. Notification: when we detect confidential data, we need a process to notify the appropriate people that the detection has taken place. And finally, prevention is an action that we take to keep a breach from actually happening. And it's important to note that those two things often go together, that they're not mutually exclusive. If we take an action to prevent a data breach, then we need to probably notify somebody that this happened.
So specifically, the different DLP modules, what are they seeking to address?
So network DLP addresses data in motion on the network. This is largely concerned with email, web, FTP, or instant messaging, and possibly other unencrypted protocols that we can detect on the wire. Endpoint DLP is data in use, and that covers those things that we look at on the network, email, web, FTP, or IM, at the clients on the user's endpoint that actually produce the email or the web browser. We also are concerned at the endpoint with removable storage, with data being printed, data being pasted off the clipboard, or data being moved into applications. And then finally, storage DLP is concerned with data at rest, finding confidential data that's exposed in your environment, in file servers, on NAS devices, in SharePoint, in the file system of the endpoints, in mailboxes, in Exchange and Lotus Notes, or in SQL databases. And together, those three modules form the semantic DLP system. How can Eden help you? Well, we'll work with you to deliver a complete DLP program. And this includes, at the beginning, working with your stakeholders to determine the requirements, since any technology transformation is based on requirements. And so it's important to get them from your stakeholders and from the business. We do project planning and management. We will provide engineering services to design your DLP environment and then implement it. And like many things in security, a DLP system is not static. And once you deploy it, as you gain experience with it, your policies will need tuning to accommodate your actual environment. And we can work with you to do that tuning. And finally, because we believe in getting the job done, we will deliver complete documentation of your system to you before we turn it over. And finally, we will develop and deliver learning communications to your people. It's vital in the deployment of DLP that your people understand what it is that's going to change in their lives and what's expected of them.
So, in conclusion, just a refresher of what we covered. The function of DLP is to discover, monitor, and protect sensitive data from leaving the enterprise.
DLP is a critical piece of a complete data security program, as we showed you on the Wheel of Data Security.
A successful DLP program incorporates people, process, and technology.
Symantec DLP's modules include network, endpoint, and storage DLP.
DLP uses a set of policies to detect confidential data, then notify the appropriate parties, and take action to prevent a data breach.
Eden Technologies can help you build or optimize your DLP program.
You can learn more about DLP by watching our other videos. And speaking of our videos, again, here's the list of the different videos available to you to learn a little bit more about DLP and Symantec's product and Eden's offerings around that. For more information about Eden Technologies, please visit our website at www.edentechnologies.com and specifically our data loss prevention practice. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at our general mailbox of connect@edentechnologies.com, or feel free to reach out either to myself or Andy Sherman. Andy, thank you so much for this overview. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Teri, and thank you to everybody who's listened.